Messenger.
Should I still believe my mother's advice that you can always trust a police officer?
Well, this is in the light, of course, of what Deborah Glass, the Deputy Chairwoman of the Independent Police Complaints Commission, said in this whole business over the Andrew Mitchell, what he did and didn't say at the gates of Downing Street. And you remember, I don't want to go through the whole story because I'm sure you know it well, but 3 police officers went to see him to see if they could sort the thing out, and then gave a description of what he'd said. He had tape recorded it, and the 3 officers gave a completely different view. And the Independent Police Complaints Commission said that, in her opinion, the surrounding circumstances do give an indication of an issue of honesty and integrity and discreditable conduct, not merely a naive or poor professional judgment. There's more to go, of course, on this, because they still haven't decided whether to prosecute other people involved. But let's just deal with this issue and what was said, and let's not deal with it for too long. But should Philippa Messenger trust a police officer? Tristram Hunt.
Oh, it's desperately depressing. I found the week's events. Look, we've had 2 significant events this week in terms of police trustworthiness. We're looking at the Mark Duggan inquest, which led to the riots and the accounts of what happened there. And then we've had this report from the IPCC about what the police officers did or didn't say in that meeting. One's instinctive sense, and quite rightful sense, is always to trust a police officer, but it does enormous amounts of damage to their integrity, this situation. And the real issue is that if they could do this to a cabinet minister, could they do this to a young lad from Bradford or Brixton? If they're able to work together like this, arguably to undermine a democratically elected political representative, what hope does a young boy or girl have in the criminal justice system? And that's the real fear. So, you know, I feel a lot of angst about it.
Peter Oborne.
Yeah, today I wrote a letter to Andrew Mitchell, just a personal note of apology. Because I believed the police, I believed it was right that he should be removed from the government, and of course we now know that the police lied, these 3 officers lied. And let's just bear something else in mind. There's going to be no punishment to these officers who lied, and just think, they're all going to go into the court. They're empowered to arrest people, to give evidence against people. These officers who lied, they're going to expect to be listened to with respect by the jury. And yet the police seems to be completely relaxed about something. Look, this is not just about Mr Mitchell. In fact, Mr Mitchell had powerful friends, influential people who came to his aid and made sure this came out into the open. I absolutely agree with Dr Hunt, actually, aren't you? I think, sorry, not Mr. I absolutely agree with Dr Hunt that the real issue is this same thing is happening in working class estates, young youths, they're being framed, and for them, that's the end of their life, because they're going to jail. They've been framed, and they're going to... Mr Mitchell, it was a career setback. These youths, they've got a criminal record, they're not going to be employed.
I think it's fair to say that these 3 officers have made no comment since, and the chief constables who decided not to discipline them have asked to go before a parliamentary committee to explain why. So there may be... I mean, there are 2 stories.
And Andrew Mitchell still has not made an official complaint. Let's put this all into context. I mean, I'd like to see a statement from him. I mean, to go back to your question
yes.
Very quickly, I think our element of trust has been severely undermined. And, you know, the next time, I hope it isn't stopped for speeding points or something like that, but, you know, if I'm going to be questioning, am I going to get a rightful hearing? But what worries me more than anything is what was effectively a relatively simple spat that involved rather colourful language, if we look at this, has suddenly developed into something much more serious. And the seriousness of it is this the police fighting against the cutbacks and using this as ammunition, or is it just the usual cover-up type scenario? And that's what worries me more than anything. You know, are we just watching this battle being fought out over something very, very fundamental? And as you say, you know, recognising your question, undermining our trust in the police.
The Independent Police Complaints Commission did say, of course, that they were running a successful, I quoted, high-profile anti-cuts media campaign.
Absolutely.
Do you think Andrew Mitchell should be reinstated now?
Well, let me answer Philippa's question first, and then I'll come to that.
Don't forget my question.
No, I won't. but she's in the audience, so she gets to go first. I think the important thing to remember is this. I think generally the vast majority of police officers behave with honesty and integrity, and we often ask them to put their lives on the line. I mean, this evening, for example, as people are watching this, the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary at the Police Bravery Awards, honouring police officers who've put themselves in danger. But I think Tristram's right. This type of behaviour does cause real damage to the image of the police, which is why I think those chief constables ought to deal with it. Listening to what the IPCC have said, I think they ought to have a disciplinary process so they can tease out what actually happened, and if those officers have behaved badly, they need to be dealt with. And it's why we put our reforms in place with the College of Policing. We're strengthening the IPCC. We want to change the culture in the police to make it more open and to make these sorts of things less likely to happen. So I think the answer to your question is you should trust the police, but I think we need to take action to make sure this type of behaviour doesn't happen. And I think Tristram's point was right. Andrew Mitchell was a person who looks like he's been wronged, but was in a position where he was able to do something about it. The concern is, for people watching this, is for someone without that ability to do something about it, how many other people are going to suffer? And that's why I think we need to take action to improve the integrity of the police force overall.
You heard what
your question.
Yeah, you heard what the Home Secretary said.
I did.
In the House of Commons. You know that David Cameron sacked him. Didn't Prime Minister should apologise?
Well, he didn't sack him. Andrew Mitchell...
he was there one day and gone the next.
Andrew Mitchell, in the job that he was doing as Chief Whip, depended on the confidence of the Parliamentary Party. And he himself said, given all of these allegations, that he wasn't able to do the job.
No pressure, then.
So I hope this situation is resolved. I can't comment on the original events because they're still the subject of the police investigation and the CPS.
You want to see Andrew Mitchell back in office?
Well, that's a matter for the Prime Minister. It's looking increasingly like... certainly, as what happened in his own constituency, he was wronged. I don't know what happened in the original set of circumstances. And clearly, if he's completely cleared, then the Prime Minister, it would be free to the Prime Minister to ask him back into government.
Greer.
You know, to go back to your question, there are many communities in this country who would never even ask that question in the first place because they don't trust the police. So they haven't lost anything, to be honest with you. The second thing is, it's interesting to me as the only immigrant on this panel, I think, to say that I come from a country and a part of the country where you don't have police walking around unarmed. That is probably in the whole world. British policing is unique. It's called a police service. Therefore, our police do their work in conjunction with the consent of the people. And if they break that trust in any way, they need to be accountable for it. And it's as simple as that. Okay. And if it takes a conservative whip to actually bring this to the fore and make the Home Secretary ask for an apology or whatever, so be it. And if these police officers have actually done something or done wrong, they need to go down. And it's as simple as that.
Okay. I agree. Just before we... have we any police officers in the audience who want to say anything? Are you a police? No? No? No. No, just waiting. OK. All right. Well, I'll go to the man up there on the right. You, sir. Yeah. On the far right at the back.
I was wondering if the lady's mother is still alive and whether she heard the PM programme last night, because there was a retired Deputy Assistant Commissioner from the Met who advised people to record their encounters with the police. And I think it's a sad state of affairs.
And Philippa Messenger, do you still believe your mother's advice after all the things you've heard?
I like Bonnie's point, really, about the fact that we need to... It's hopefully a small minority that are causing problems. I'd like to continue to believe my mother's advice and follow it, just because I think it's a bit depressing otherwise if I don't.
The trouble with a small minority is you never know who's a member of that minority in advance, do you?
Yeah.
OK, let's go on to another question.